Good morning everyone, good Monday morning. It is Make a Card Monday again, and we are going to be playing with the beautiful Baubles stamp set. Now last, I think it was Friday, I put a quick video up saying which card will we make? Were we going to make this one or were we going to make this one here? So we left it up for a vote, and I guess if you've seen the intro above my video, you'll know that the watercolouring technique won out 16 to 12. So we'll do this one this week, and then we'll probably do the blends one next week. Hey Carrie, hey Lorraine. I'm just finding myself. Okay, so this is the one that we're going to do. We're back to front. I haven't set up properly, you know. So that's cool. So we'll do this one this week, and then we'll be doing the Stampin' Blends next week. So just while we're waiting for everyone to come in, don't forget the bonus buys days, okay? So if you ordered last month and you, hang on a moment, I've got to switch things down, otherwise I'll hear myself. Okay, so if you ordered in August and you spent your $90 and you got your coupons, you only have until the 30th to be redeeming those coupons, so don't let them go because they'll save you $9. The other thing that I've got going is it is coming up time for my monthly, I have a card subscription club, and these are the 2 cards that we'll be making for that. So there is still time to subscribe to that. Good morning Rosemary, good morning Lisa. So lots of gold sparkle and gold embossing in those ones. So that's my monthly subscription club. So all those details and stuff are all on my blog. Okay, let's swing the camera around and get moving. I've done a little bit of prep beforehand because there's quite a lot of embossing involved in that, but I'll explain that when we get going. So I'm just going to pop my finger over the camera and swing around and try not to knock the camera out of the stand. Whoops. Squeaky, squeaky. There we go. And I'll just zoom in a squidge. Here we go. I think we are all set up. Now I have got my Teflon mat down here at the moment. It's a little old at the moment. And I've got my well-loved rag. You'll need one of these. Look at it. I should try and do something with that, shouldn't I? I don't know why I just don't get a new one. These Viva towelings seem to hold on quite well without disintegrating, don't they? So you'll need that. Mine's already wet. Good morning, Kim. No, you haven't missed me. Beautiful morning in Tasmania. That's good. It's actually not too bad here. It's a little bit windy, but the sun is shining a little bit, so that's okay. Okay, so we are going to be, let me get myself organized. We are playing with the beautiful Baubles. I'll try and see whether there's no glare on that. So this one is great. I love this image, and I wasn't even going to get this stamp set, but I ended up, and I'm really glad that I have, because I've made a couple of really pretty cards already, so love it. And it does, we're only using the stamp, but it does come with its dies as well. So these, I'll just show you quickly on these 2 cards that I made. So it has the really thin detailed, these 2 here are really detailed. And then this one was really different because you can, it's got 2 pieces. So you can either cut it out like I have here, quite a lacy, dare I say, doily looking thing. And, or you can like just have that die and it'll actually just emboss. So it'll cut a few things out and emboss it, but then you can cut the whole medallion thing out. So anyway, that's a little bit different. But we're only playing with the stamp set today. Very nice set. Okay, so on watercolor paper, I have, I'm not sure whether you can see that. Let me stand up for a moment. I have already stamped and embossed. Okay, so we're doing watercolor paper. And when I do this, I've embossed in white embossing powder. So when I stamp this, I'll hold it up. I'm standing up at the camera so I can see. When I do this, I stamp from the bottom first. So I'll stamp this image and emboss it. and then I'll go up in this top corner and stamp and emboss that one, and then I'll work my way back down and fill in any spots. So then I'll do this one and then I'll do that one, and that way I know that I've got a random pattern that's sort of evenly spaced instead of like having 4, because it just, you need to sort of have that random look going on. Okay, now the colors that I am using is Melon Mambo and Mango Melody. The lots of I used to use, whenever I did a non-traditional Christmas card colors, my go-to colors were always crushed curry. No, it wasn't. It was pumpkin pie and rose red, which was a really lovely color combination together, the orange and the pink. But because we don't have rose red anymore, it was my favorite. I thought, well, Mango Melody is sort of like an orangey yellow, and I'll just use the Melon Mambo. Lipstick, lovely lipstick would also work really, really well. But I didn't have a reinker for that one, so hence I didn't use it. Okay, you also need an aqua painter with a full barrel of water, because you do end up using quite a bit of water. So the first thing that I need to do is set my ink pads up. I hope you all had a great weekend. Did something interesting. Okay, so I'm going to just put a drop of reinker into my lids. And because you actually use a fair bit of ink with these. Oops. Okay, so my first one, I'm going to do this one up in the top corner. And you sort of need to try and keep your hands fairly clean, try and keep your work area fairly clean, and you just squeeze your barrel and drop balls of water. Just try and keep it contained inside your embossed lines. At least you do need to emboss for this technique. Just stamping it isn't gonna work, because that water needs to pool, and it can't do that if you're not if you don't have the embossed lines. Okay, so then you're just going to pick up a good amount of reinker and dab it on, and then just sort of flow that around a little bit. It'll sort of take off and do its own thing, and you'll see the reason why that my rag is so that you need to get that to be running clear. So I'm just going to leave that down there. Okay, so let that run clear a little bit. Pick up some of your melon and let it flood. If it doesn't want to flow, just put another drop of reinker, and did you see how that took off? So just going to flick that up a little bit there, and then when these two, I'll just sort of drag a little bit of pink down into the mango, and then try and bring it as close as you can to the white line without going over it, and then you just let it sit. Okay, that's a little bit there that I've missed. So just try and let that sit, and then you just got to squeeze that out and keep going. So I'll do another one. This is a bigger one. So just drip. So you'll see that I didn't clean my water out enough for that one. Good morning. Yeah, so I hope you all had a good weekend. It was actually my birthday on Saturday, but nothing very exciting happens on my birthday. My poor hubby had to get his car serviced. He does all his own servicing, so he fixed his car up and hit the road yesterday and drove 10 hours to Cooper Pedy. So right, there's a little bit of water, just want to get rid of that. Okay, so you sort of want a lot of water there. I'm not too fussed that my water is coloured, because it is going to disappear under the colour anyway, under the reinker. So yes, big nasty number. It's not an O number, but it was a 5 number. It's getting closer to the next 0 number. Okay, just dragging that down a little bit. I like it when it floods down into that bottom bit there. It's okay. You could do multiple. I did think about that, but having two aqua painters on the go, it would be quicker. Okay, and then just let it take off. I love it, it's so cool. Especially when you've got the bigger spaces and you dip your reinker in and it just flows off. So it's nice and quiet in my house again. I shouldn't say that, should I? I've got all day. Usually he comes home for lunch, but I'll have all day. Now, try not to get your finger in your wet baubles. And the best thing to do is just to let them dry naturally. So it is a little bit of a time-consuming process, but if you had them all set up and then finished making your card the following day, you would be fine. Okay. You can even just drop, instead of using an aqua painter to like put the ink down, you can actually just use the reinker straight onto your image, but I'm just going to show you what, it doesn't always work with every colour, so I'm going to show you a little bit in a second, because I did one the other day and I just put drops of reinker straight onto here rather than putting it in the lid, but I'll show you what happens with some of the colours, not all of them. So you sort of have to do a test patch first. Okay, nearly there. You can just try and shift that, because sometimes those comments get in the way, don't they? So pretty. Last one. Oops, that one's really, I better squeeze that a little bit more, I think. So I'm gonna take that off. And if it pulls, like if it pulls really badly, I would refrain from dabbing unless you are really, really careful. I would refrain from sucking up any pulled ink, because I did it the other day and I wasn't careful enough, and because my rag there was a little bit wet, it got all over my card. So best not to just take a little bit of care. I'm having a really bad time here at the moment. I'm having a hard time talking and concentrating at the same time. That's very unusual for me. And last little bit. I think I'm definitely going to have to throw this rag out. Last bit. Okay, and then the best thing to do is just set that aside. I'm just going to show you quickly though on this other one that I have. Oops, just going to pop that to the side. This is one that I did on the weekend, and you can see that I got a little bit messy here. Now you can see here, this is where I put the reinker straight down, and it sort of didn't want to flood as nicely. I'll show you. So you do have to be careful with some of the reinkers, because they tend to want to just grab hold of the paper instead of flowing. So I'll just fill those areas. So you'll have to, if you want to do it this way, you sort of need to test. See, now did you see how that dropped but sort of left a mark straight away? So you can do it this way, which will result in quite an intense colour, I guess. And then you can just come and help it flow. So there's the two ways that you can do it. Like, that's really quite intense. but here you'll be left with that stain that didn't really flow properly. You can see where it's dripped. So it just depends. Some of them don't do that, like the pink didn't do it, but that did, and I really don't like that. So if you want to do it that way, which is probably quicker, then I would practice on some scrap card first before doing that. Okay, so the next bit is that I do really need to get this. That is just sopping wet now. I'm just got a tissue here. I need to get this clean because the next one is actually a light colour. Yep, I think we're nice and clear. And you'll see, you know, I've used half a barrel of water already. So I'm just going to pop that somewhere where it can set aside and dry and shift these, because I have got one that I prepared earlier because I knew that I was going to be in a wet mess. So, oops. Just ran all over my good one. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this one is almost dry. There's a little bit of wet still there, but you can see how the colours sort of sink into, they sink into the, I'll bring it up. There's a little bit wet still there, but the colours all sink into the card and settle and do their own thing. So that's why it's best to just leave it to dry on its own without, and the other thing is that if you use a heat gun to try and set this, you are going to, you know, probably ruin your embossing as well. So let me just zoom in a little bit more. Now with my original card, I used crumb cake, but I'm going to try and use Sahara sand for this one and just see whether it gives a different look. Thanks, ladies. The colours just work so pretty together. So have a little play around with them, and like your blues and greens will probably work nicely together, and your and of course your purple, your pinks and yellows, pinks and oranges. Probably don't know what would go real well with purples. I'm not sure. You could probably do a dark purple into a light purple, but I'm not sure whether the colours into purple would blend quite nicely. So for the background, it's just I've done a light wash, and I sort of boo-booed this up in the first time that I did it. I didn't want it like it was. So you just want a fairly wet, watery one, and just go around all the. I actually probably want to. I'm going to end up in a world of mess today, I can just tell. Hopefully it won't be too bad. Water and re-inkers. So if you don't mind getting inky, whoops, yeah, be careful that you don't drag some of that colour into your background. Okay, so that was my first step. Just, it's too wet, you guys can't see. Hang on a minute, I need another. I've got all these rags everywhere. This stamp is really nice. I wasn't real keen on it either, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to leave it. It's, you know, not one that I need to get, but I'm actually really glad I got it. Okay, so I've got my, I don't know whether you can see, but I've got my I'm going to stand up. I've got my re-inker drop in there. So after I've taken the white, like the really wet wash, I'm going to come back in with a little bit more. I can't tell where the camera is when I'm sitting down, but I'm just going to come in and take a little bit more ink directly from that, and I'm going to, now this is wet still, so bear that in mind, but I'm just going to come and darken, and I'll have to do it quite a bit because these are quite wet, and I'm just going to just darken underneath where on the bottom. I've only got two. I'll have to take it up around the sides a little bit too. So you can see that area down there is a little bit drier. So I'll need to wash that out a little bit. And then you just keep building that up so it looks like it's got a bit of a shadow. Take it up around the side a little bit and then sort of feather it in. So make it wider along the bottom, and then as you go up the side, sort of taper it in until it... No, I'm not even in the screen. Not even in the screen. Hang on. There you go. And then just keep building that up until you get the intensity that you want. And this also hides any little overflows. So it sort of gives it like it's a shadow. And because we don't have an underside, I'll just do a little bit. A little bit up the side there, a little bit up the side on that one. Not a huge amount. So it sort of gives that shadow. If you can, I'd have to wait for it to dry a little bit so you can see what that actually looks like. But it sort of gives it a pretty good, it's a nice effect. Okay, so that's all our watercolouring. I'm probably not going to be able to assemble my card just yet because it is still quite wet. But I'll tell you how I've done it because I've got it all prepped here just in case, but these are going to take a little bit of extra time. But I've then taken a piece of melon mambo and mounted it onto that. And then my mango melody. The colours are so pretty together. So mellow mangody, mellow, what's it called? What is it called? Mango melody. Alright, that goes like that. And then I've done deck the halls and embossed that and then just cut it out, and that'll go across the bottom here. It's almost a shame to cover up some of the patterns. So I've just popped that on there. I've popped a little bit of the lace trim underneath it, and then I adhered it down, so that's what your finished card will look like. Unfortunately, it's still too wet for me to stick together. It'll make a mess, so that's will give you an idea of how it's going to look. So I've used Sahara sand background on that one, and I used crumb cake on that one. So there's a little bit of difference. I'll just zoom back out again. So a little bit of difference between the two. Not a huge amount, it's just one's a little bit browner than the other, but that shadowing effect certainly makes the whole baubles pop. So if I bring this one back in, you can see how much that little bit of a background definitely makes it pop. And I suppose you could do any colour for that, like you could do a pale blue, or I suppose you could do even a green, like maybe they're in the tree or something. You could do you could try anything, I guess, is just have a play. So, but it certainly does make a huge difference for that. So thank you for joining me. That's it. I'm not going to be able to put my card together, unfortunately, but you can see how it all does go together. And so next week we will do, it's the same layout as you can see. It's exactly the same, but I'll show you how to do the blends next week, and we might even have a, I might have a play with some different colours and make another bauble card as well. So we'll do that next week. And also the ones that I've got for my monthly subscription club is actually the baubles as well. So there's 3 completely different looks, completely different. So it is a really great versatile set. So if you're looking for one, and it's not particularly out of control with the price either. So it's a pretty good one. Loads of different looks that you can get. And I haven't even played with all of the stamps. I've only played with two of the images. I haven't even played with this one yet. So that'll have to be another day where I play with that one. So awesome. Okay, so thank you very much. I'll just show you this one. It's still, yeah, doing the re-inkers. See how it's bled outside my line? It's sort of I don't know whether you can see that, but that's, I mean, and it's still really, really wet. That was the re-inker drip straight into it, and it's bled everywhere. So you would have to go easy if you were going to try that one. I think for a bigger open space, you could probably do it, but this is quite a detailed image. So thank you very much, and have a great day and a great week, and I'm sure that I will chat to you somewhere on the Facebook page during the week, but we will see you live next Monday at the same time. It'll be school holidays for me, so that'll be interesting. Try and get myself up and out and ready by coming on at 10 a.m. As long as my kids are out of bed by then, it should be good. Okay, thanks very much. We'll see you next week. Bye.